TelecomTV, where ICT connects.
Hello, welcome to TelecomTV. I'm Martyn Warwick, reporting from Northern California, Silicon Valley, where we are attending the 4th ETSI meeting of the Industry Standardization Group, ISG, on NFV. That's a lot to say, but it does what it says on the tin. And I'm talking with Aruna Ravichandran, who is Vice President SDN Product Marketing at Juniper Networks. Aruna Ravichandran, thanks for talking to us. We're here at this ETSI group meeting. NFV has been around for only a short time, comparatively, and the ISG for even less, a matter of a mere 9 or 10 months. But in that short period, it's become very important to NFV. What exactly has been achieved to date by the ISG?
I would say this is an awesome consortium, which was formed almost a year ago. I was very excited when the NFV ISG consortium was actually formed, because from a Juniper point of view, we were already thinking in going in that particular direction. And NFV actually validated that this is some of the key challenges our service providers are actually facing. And what has been achieved is that now you have a dedicated set of use cases which have come out, which most of the service providers are looking to solve. These are the core network functions, which I think will have a lot of value if you virtualize them and run them as independent virtualized network functions in software outside the physical network. The value service providers are looking to solve is reduce complexity, the ability to innovate, the ability to roll out services much more quicker and bring them to market.
And why is this work so important for the service providers?
It's very important for service providers mainly because it gives them the opportunity to simplify their network. It gives them the ability to roll out a lot of new services. It is all about time to revenue in terms of what they can actually launch and roll out. In the previous model, the time to roll out new services takes a couple of years to do. With what NFV is trying to accomplish, time to roll out those services could probably come down to a couple of weeks' time. So it's a huge gain they're going to have in terms of monetization, in terms of being able to have an impact with respect to their revenue and top line.
And what impact do you think NFV is going to have on service provider business models going forward? And when do you think the enormous amount of hype surrounding NFV will settle down somewhat and we will see reality emerge?
So that's a very good question. Again, a two-phase question. So let me first answer the second one.
Sure.
The second one around when I think it'll die down, I think it just started, right? So I would say that as more and more service providers actually roll out new products and bring that into production, there are a lot of vendors from the hardware side, from a networking side, and non-networking vendors as well who want to actually participate in this particular consortium. And as more and more service providers launch products and they're able to see the value it brings to them in terms of the business model change, you'll see that the hype will actually die down. It's just like the cloud. When cloud came, when server virtualization actually happened about 10 years ago, everybody was curious about it. And, people started to see the value cloud actually brings when you start to see more and more data centers build out private clouds, business models change where more and more people started to go into the public cloud. And right now, everybody understands what cloud actually brings to the table. It's no longer a hype, it's a reality. And that's exactly what NFV is going to become. I won't say it's going to take 10 years, like server virtualization down to where cloud is in today. I would say probably within the next 5 years, people will start to see the value they're going to get with NFV, the value in terms of being able to virtualize these functions. There are going to be solid use cases. I would see a lot of SPs and carriers who'll go to different events and talk about the ROI they actually got of implementing these functions as virtualized network functions. So this is going to be a hype probably for another year or two, but you'll see the reality seep in once more and more SPs go into production deployments. And that's the area where we at Juniper have a huge leeway across the board. We acquired Contrail Systems in November of last year. And now I actually recently launched Contrail in September of 2013 this year, a month ago. So we now have a live shipping product, an SDN controller, and more vendors are going to go in the same direction. What you get by bringing a product like Contrail, which is the SDN controller, or the other name people refer to as a virtual software overlay, is the ability, it gives you the primary building blocks in order to roll these services much more quickly, in order to be able to stitch a lot of these virtual network functions together in a concept which is actually called dynamic service chaining, and gives service providers the ability to launch the services much more quickly. We had about 40 customers in beta with Contrail, and right now, several of them are slowly starting to go into deployment. I would say out of the 40 plus customers, about 60% of them were service providers, very large carriers. And I've talked to a lot of the service providers at a worldwide level. People are looking to build out private and public clouds. I see the business model, and going back to the first question, how do you see the business model change? I think this is a huge opportunity for large carriers. They already offer VPN services. They already have relationships with large enterprise customers. Now you have the opportunity to bridge that and offer a lot more services, something which you call cloud brokerage services. If I'm an SP and I'm already selling VPN services to a large enterprise customer, I can actually extend that and create partnerships with various different SaaS-based applications and offer that as a service. So customers will get a single bill. It's all about simplification and opportunity to monetize and create these new business models to help them achieve more top-line revenues. I would see service providers starting to compete with Amazon's and Google computing engines of the world, because they're all going to be offering infrastructure as a service. So this whole concept actually opens up a lot of doors, and there is going to be a lot of business model change within the service providers.
What are the biggest challenges facing service providers as they attempt to deploy NFV, and how do you think those challenges can be overcome?
I think the biggest challenge is actually going to be around, just like going back to my example around the cloud, right? People don't want to be the first guinea pigs to roll out something like that in a production environment. So the challenge is going to be is how much of it is a hype. And as you see the market come out with key NFV use cases, where people actually talk about the old use case on how these network functions were actually embedded within the systems, and now they're seeing the value of launching those services much more faster, I'll see the adoption rate change. It's all about learning from other vendors whom you're talking to. The second challenge I see is from an underlying organizational barrier. So, right now, if you think about networking, pretty much it's most of the underlying network management, the ability to provision the network resources, manage these network functions are all within the networking group. But, the line actually becomes kind of hazy if you look at where NFV is going, where SDN is actually growing, and that causes some amount of organizational conflict as well. And so those two, I would say, are going to be, some of the areas which will lessen the adoption. But the train has actually left the station. I can see that, at least a lot of Junipers carriers who are in deployment with us, I would see a big portion of them will be in deployment by end of 2014.
We know Juniper Networks knows about NFV, gets it as it were, because you've been working in it for a long time. But looking to the future, what are you going to bring to the party that others can't or won't?
We have a shipping product today. Like I said, Contrail, we acquired, we launched the controller. We have services which are already virtualized. One of our market-leading services, which will come into market, it's currently available in limited availability, but we'll have it available by end of this year, is our virtual firewall. This is a virtual function firewall, which is equivalent to our market-leading SRX platform. We have a lot of other firewall services like web applications, Web App Secure, which gives you the ability to do web application security, which is going to be available in a virtualized form factor. We have DDoS Secure, which gives you the ability to do DDoS functions in a virtualized manner. So, it's no longer, from a Juniper perspective, it's no longer a strategy or a vision. We are executing. We are showing that NFV is real, and Juniper is right out there, loud and center in the front, and gives, and we are able to demonstrate that to our customers. In fact, I said about 60% of our customers were SP. Most of the customers, out of those 60%, I would say 95% of them, they actually had the SDN controller, which did the orchestration and provisioning, but it was tied to the virtual firewall, which we call Firefly Perimeter. And we have the ability to stitch these services together. And from our strategy perspective, it's not just being able to give you the ability to orchestrate and provision these services, because Juniper has the best of breed products across the board. So we also have a lot of partnerships with other vendors. As a part of the launch, we announced partnerships with Riverbed, which has got ADC or load balancing functions. We announced a partnership with Checkpoint, which also provides firewall services. And I'm just naming a few of them. There was a long list of SDN partnerships or NFV partnerships we announced. And so we will provide the best of breed solutions across the board, because we know our SP customers have a lot of different products from different vendors. And what we want to do is to be able to help our customers to stitch those services together, give them the ability to dynamically launch up and launch down on the services. And that's the value you're going to get out of NFV. And we have a shipping product today with Contrail. And the other huge excitement part of our Contrail solution is we open sourced it. So customers can actually download it. In fact, I have a lot of our top SP customers at a worldwide level who have downloaded the code. Their developers are playing around with the code. So we have a production-ready commercial version of our controller, but we also have an open-source version of our controller, which one could use in order to play around with it and learn, and see how it suits their underlying environment.
Aruna Ravichandran, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
TelecomTV, where ICT connects.